Note to self, when you do take the plenum off, you just have a pile of carburetors with no rhyme or reason, and they're all just going to fall apart. So be careful. This is for me to see where everything goes, basically. Choke's there, connected there with a rod, connected down and then over there with a rod, connected there to there with a rod, and then it pulls all the chokes at the same time. And over here on the right side of the bike you have your fuel tube gasket, goes in there with the gasket. Same thing on this side, two fuel tubes, gasket. That's the one that's suspected of leaking, and then once we started messing with it, it started leaking out there too. So they look pretty rounded off. These are very dirty carbs. And then, oh boy, so we have air tube here. I guess we should do gaskets on the air tubes right there. Of course, our springs, one of those springs that I found, definitely goes in there right here between these two linkages, and also between those two linkages. This is gonna be a mess to put back together. Alright, since we're leaking fuel out of the fuel tubes, we're gonna rip off the old gaskets here, or O-rings. And they are like hard as a rock. Again, these could easily be original to 1982. I mean, obviously this looks really cruddy. The tubes are in good shape, so we're going to reuse them. I'll clean them up just a little bit, but these gaskets are super hard. Rock hard. So I'm going to use this little tool to get them off. And then we're going to jump in here to the handy dandy little O-ring assortment kit from Harbor Freight. Try and find one that looks good, matches up, probably one of these guys. And then hopefully our problem is solved. I don't know if I'm going to do the air tubes. I guess while I'm in there I should. We'll see how easily they come out. They seem pretty solid, so I don't think I'm too worried about them. But I'm going to pick these off and see what kind of shape they're in. Now, to be perfectly honest with you, every single one of them broke in half as I picked it out, as I expected. So there's no rebound, there's no life left in these. I think 30, what is it, 82, 92, 2002, 2012, almost 40 years old. If these guys are original to 40 years old, like I said, it's only got 15,000 miles. That's not bad for the life expectancy of some rubber. It's not great. You don't want them to leak, but so picked out some that matched pretty well. Let's see. I picked this one because it seemed to fit pretty tight. That should seal up real nice. I am going to go grab the air tubes and carefully pull them out. Make sure those are good to go too. But just a warning, I don't know, you're probably better at this than me, but if you pull, I was looking at these originally, if you pull some out, don't pull more than one out and try to remember which place you took them from, because, I don't know, they kind of look the same to me, so, I can't tell. Anyway, but, yeah, I picked these, because they fit on there snug, and they seem to work good. These were a little big, they kind of were a little loose on here. Probably would have been fine, but I'd rather them snug, make sure they don't leak. But I couldn't even tell you what any of these are. They're just, those are big ones, those are small ones, those are very small ones. These are, I don't know, medium sized. So anyway, yeah, I'm gonna grab the air tube. Here we go now. Fuel tubes from the bottom of the carbs. Air tubes for the top of the carbs. I ended up using the same gaskets on all of them, even though the ones that came off the air tubes seemed strangely different. They seem thinner. I don't know if they're just that, I don't know, they're worn down differently. They're weird. I don't know. But I think from the diagram, these are supposed to be the same gaskets on both of them. So I used the same gaskets on both of them. Now I can go reinstall these. I think while I have the sucker off, I'm going to put all this back together. I need to do a little more maintenance. So yeah, I want to make sure that the choke is functioning properly, that all those are moving freely. And once I put these banks back together, I think I will open up the bottoms and the tops and just make sure everything's still clean. I had my cousin do them, I don't know, maybe 2 years now ago. But just to make sure before I put everything back together that she's good to go. Friends, I had to cheat a little bit, okay? The gaskets that we used, or the O-rings, were fine for the fuel tubes. I think they're going to work perfectly. But they were too big for the air tubes. So I found some in a spare, let's just say some spare parts from a carb kit that I had. They seemed to fit great on one of the tubes. And I reused the old O-rings on this one. But I smeared some gasket material, some gasket maker, onto it. And I know that's not the best idea, but I think I'm going to try it. If I get this all set up and mounted, I think we're good. So I went back and watched my video on how to set this up. I do know where all those springs came from, so that's good. They fell out as we were taking this apart. And I think I've got this all set back into place. And all the levers in the right spots. Dudes, I do not want to do this every day. This is not fun. I'll do inline carbs all day. I'll do twins all day. But all these linkages and stuff, when they're separated, I'm sure they'll be fine when I have the box back on, or the plenum, because then they won't be moving around. But having them all loose like this is not a walk in the park. So I think I'm in a good spot. I'm going to try and line all this up, lock it down, and then I'm going to do some more adjustments and make sure everything's good.